Today is Wednesday, March 27th, and this is the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education meeting. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the board will be entering into executive session for the purpose of collective negotiations under the Taylor Law, medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment or employment or promotion or demotion or discipline or suspension or removal of a particular person or corporation. Can I have a motion to move into exec?
Motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, the board will be back at approximately 7 p.m. Good evening. Today is Wednesday, March 27th, and this is the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education meeting. Before we get started, can we all stand for the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Excuse us for being a few minutes after 7. Sorry for making you all wait. And with that said, we are going to kick off this evening with some wonderful recognition of some of our students.
Yes, thank you, President Bernard. It's always a pleasure to start off a meeting by recognizing our students and taking time to remember what we're here for. If you noticed outside, it is spring, I think. And while we are starting our spring sports season, we first want to recognize some of our fantastic scholar athletes who had a wonderful winter season. And to do that, I'd like to introduce our athletic director, Mr. Tom Baker, to come forward and recognize some fantastic teams and fantastic individual efforts. Mr. Baker.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Mr. Trombley. It's my pleasure tonight to join you with some great student athletes. And as we know, these student athletes, they're dedicated, they're committed. There's a lot of time that they put in for their craft, for their sport, in the classroom at sometimes long hours after practices. Sometimes some of their contests go quite late at night. And I think my first two from the track and field would really say yes to that when they travel down to the city for some of their meets. So it's my pleasure to bring them here tonight. It's also nice seeing some of our future sailors here being recognized as well. So thank you for having us. The first group of individuals I'd like to bring up is our track and field team athletes. So they can come on up here, Alex Wong and Chloe Howard. And I'll talk about these as well as one who couldn't be with us tonight. So our track and field team, we had some individuals that won sectional championships in their event, state qualifiers, qualified for the national competition. I wanted to recognize them. Our coach Marsha Bailey is here with them as well. Our first is senior Alex Wong. He was a Section 1 champion in the 55-meter hurdles, and he also competed in the nationals in that event as well. Chloe Howard is with us, a 10th grader. Chloe qualified for the New York State Championships in the 1,500-meter race walk and competed in nationals as well. And couldn't be with us here tonight is Demetrius Wells. Demetrius was the Section 1 champion in the triple jump. So as I said earlier, these are student athletes that put the time in the classroom and on the playing field. And it's my pleasure to present tonight Alex Wong and Chloe Howard. I have some gymnasts. If my gymnastics girls can come on up. Thank you, girls. Our gymnastics team, these three fine young ladies here, again, students in the classroom and on the playing field, or if you want to say on the gymnastics mat and on the other apparatuses, they are members of 3-time Section 1 championship team for gymnastics. So Stella Krebser, Devin Walsh, and Maggie Johansson are members of they are officially Section 1 champions. I do want to make sure that I speak a little bit about Maggie Johansson as well. Maggie standing here at the end. She was with us last year at this meeting. Maggie was a 2-time Section 1 champion. She was a Section 1 champion in the vault and the Section 1 champion on the floor exercise. Maggie qualified for the states and went up to the state championship where she finished 7th overall. So again, I'd like to present our 3 gymnasts of Section 1 champions and an individual champion in Maggie Johansson, Stella Krebser, and Devin Walsh. Thank you for listening. Couldn't be with us here tonight, but I do want to recognize our girls ski team with Coach Brazzulo won their first ever Section 1 championship. They couldn't be here tonight, but I do want to make sure I recognize Eleni Shotman, Fotini Shotman, Georgia Shotman, Sorry they couldn't be here, but Mia Goodnow and Jonna Rivera. But I do want to commend them and congratulate our girls ski team for a Section 1 championship. I have some bowlers. Come on, I know you're here. I'm gonna bring up all the bowlers together. I'm gonna start off with Emma Barbalet. She's right here next to me. You can see all of them are multi-sport athletes coming off the softball field, the baseball field, and Mark plays golf in the spring here, so they're all multi-sport athletes here. First, I want to talk about Emma Barbalet. At the Section 1 championships for our girls bowling team, Emma qualified for the New York State Championship. It's not an easy task. What happens that day is all the kids have to bowl 6 games. And that's a long day of bowling. They're there from 9 a.m. till almost 4:30 or so, bowling 6 games. And the top averages move on to the state championship. And Emma qualified for the state champion. So I want to congratulate Emma Barbalet for qualifying for the New York State Championship. And just like our gymnasts were 3-time Section 1 champions, our boys bowling team was also 3-time Section 1 champions. Coach Chris Abel's here with us tonight. So these young men won their sectional championship for the first time, for the third time in 3 years. And for the first time in Section 1 history, it was the first time a small school, we're Division II, but based on our enrollment, we're a small school, beat everybody in the field. At the Section 1 championships, they beat every single team in the section based on their pin average for the day. I'd like to introduce, we have Mark Livinati with us, Lucas Tangretti, and Tyler Marinaka. I do want to recognize the others who couldn't be with us tonight: Billy Moretti, Hunter Ossipinti, Mathis Lurch, Sage Cato, Kyle Cooper, and Caden Koski. 3-time, and Ethan Bromley, I missed the first one right there. Thank you for saying, Tyler. So again, our 3-time Section 1 champion bowling team and our state qualifier, Emma, here. Congratulations to our bowler. And my final student athlete, Lexi, come on up. Lexi is a multi-sport athlete, a senior. Grown into one of our fine leaders in the building here. She participates on our soccer team, the basketball team, and now in the girls lacrosse team. Every year in the fall, athletic directors across Section 1 have the opportunity to nominate one male and one female athlete from our school to Section 1 as our male and female athlete nominees to participate in a scholar athlete essay. And what it is and you basically have to write about what athletics has meant to them and the impact it's had in their life. We've had a few winners here at Hendrick Hudson during my time. I was proud in the fall that Lexi Robinson was named the female scholar athlete winner for all of Section 1. She got that award back in December. And on that day, she became the first one we ever had to win the prestigious award. She became the female scholar athlete for all of New York State. New York State female scholar athlete. It's my pleasure now, because I accepted this at our state meetings last week on behalf of Lexi, to present our state scholar athlete awards to somebody who's really done a lot for us here and earned this and a great job in the class on the playing field. Congratulations to Lexi Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, and thank you to all of our student athletes. Congratulations, and thank you very much to the Board of Education for all of your support along the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. So before we allow our student athletes to leave, if they could just all stand before they go home to study very hard. I just want to speak to you really quickly from the heart. You were recognized this evening for your achievements in extending your time beyond the regular season. So you represented Hendrick Hudson deep into the athletic season and far beyond Section 1 in terms of our geographic area. So I want to just take a moment to say thank you so much for representing us with pride and honor, and you have my utmost respect for doing so. So thank you for that. Now, go home and have So continuing with the theme of recognizing traits that we want to see in our students, I'll now ask the principal of Buchanan Verplank Elementary School, Mr. Jim Mackin, to introduce some of our students who have demonstrated some of those character traits we hope to see in our youngest learners. Mr. Mackin.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about some of our outstanding students. Just a few housekeeping items. I was talking with Mrs. Blitzer before everything started, and Lexi Robinson, she believes she should get some credit. She was Lexi's babysitter way back in the day, so she would like some credit for Lexi's, rise to fame. So good job, Mrs. Blitzer, and she's also here for some other people. So for a little context, being new to the elementary schools, we have these town halls, which are really thrilling events for everyone, to talk a little bit about what it is to be Sailor Strong. We have a matrix that we follow. And what I found out was every teacher was able to nominate a few students each revolution of when we have the town halls over the course of the year. So I said, I gotta get in on this, we gotta do something. So I decided that we'd create some awards that were awarded by the principal, but nominated by anyone on staff. So, if a TA was working with a particular class that they normally don't work with, but they wanted to recognize this class as an award, possible award winner, they had a chance to nominate. So nomination forms go out each rotation, and anyone can nominate a class or an individual for the award. So we have our inaugural awards here tonight, one for our class and one for the individual, and basically the Sailor Strong Individual Anchor Award is presented to the individual that has best exemplified the character traits of Sailor Strong. Her teachers are here tonight, mom and dad are here tonight. Sarah Ambrosecchia and Bridget Sickles, if you could stand, please. They nominated our friend Jolene Butts, JoJo, as I believe they call her, in class. And they had some really nice things to say about her. I'll just read a few things that I think were really put me over the top. We had about 4 candidates this time around. Jolene pushes herself and takes risks consistently during class time. She tries to go above and beyond in her schoolwork, and is an example of a student who loves and strives for progress and achieving goals. During read-alouds in class, which is a huge part of Bridget and Sarah's classes, Jolene brings with her a character trait list to be able to stop and jot her thoughts on characters. She waits patiently for her friends in class and is respectful of wait time and other students' needs in the classroom. Jolene includes all her friends in the classroom, cafeteria, and lunchroom. Those are just a few of the glowing things that her 2 wonderful teachers wrote about her. I will tell you that she's pretty good at arts and crafts too, because while Mr. Mackin is an idea guy, he is not an arts and crafts guy. So I presented an award, and Jolene came to me and she's like, oh my God, Mr. Mackin, the letters fell off as soon as you gave it to me. I'm like, Jolene, we're gonna keep this between us, take it home over break, and you gotta bedazzle it, do something. So she redesigned it, thank you, Jolene. But I wanna invite Jolene up so she can be recognized. This is the award, okay? She'll be presenting it actually tomorrow at our next town hall to the next recipient. It's kind of fashioned after, if you're a college football fan, the turnover chain, made popular by Miami, the University of Miami. When a football player gets an interception, they give him a big gaudy chain and he sits on a throne. It's ridiculous, but it's fun, right? And she could wear that anywhere she wanted, to class, home, and she did a great job, and she decorated it pretty nice too, because my stickers fell right off. So congratulations, Jolene, we're very proud of you. Do you have any words, or?
No, said it.
You're fine? You're good? Okay. Let's sit with mom and dad. Congratulations. So that was a great award that was presented by Jolene's classroom teachers, but I think this next one, the class award, was even more special because it was Miss Blitzer. Her class received the class award, and there are some some representatives here with us today. James, you want to come up and get on camera? You can stand right here. James was very excited prior to the meeting about getting on camera. He had many questions, many questions. When do we know when they're talking? When do we know when we're online? When can they hear us? And I think the last one was, can we play rock, paper, scissors if we don't say anything? And I said, James, I don't think you can play if you don't say rock, paper, scissors, right? So James is excited. Come closer, stand right here. I'm gonna just stand. See yourself? All right, so the Sailor Classroom Award, really quickly, is the same premise. That the class has presented. It's presented a class that best exemplifies our Sailor Strong matrix. What's great about this one is somebody outside of Mrs. Blitzer's class nominated her class. It was actually one of our TAs who has worked with her class, and she's made some really nice comments about them as well, and I'll read them really quickly. One of the things she said was Mrs. Blitzer's class always tries hard, asks questions when they need help or clarification, and they know that they can come to an adult for help, but that they can also go to each other for help. The class always lines up quietly at lunch, which is a feat, knows when they are in a zero zone, which is a quiet zone when they're moving between classes. They become silent, they walk nicely in the halls, and when in the classroom, they are creative, inquisitive, curious, and most importantly, kind to each other and to any adult that might come in the room. So this is also a reflection of Ms. Blitzer and the fine community that she's created in her class. So this was my pleasure to honor her and her class with this, I think, pretty fun award. And also a nice way to build community where people can offer input about students and how they act socially in our building. So congratulations, James. You are now a Hendrick Hudson star for a number of reasons. He'll sign autographs in the lobby. Go sit down there. Show the bling. You gotta wear it. You gotta wear it. You gotta put it on. Put it on. You're not tenured. Put it on. So that's it.
Yeah, you guys got it.
That's it. All right, so everybody come on up here.
How cute.
Jolene, remember to bring the hardware in tomorrow, please. Right. You gotta present that bad boy. You guys can go home now, get some rest. You don't have to wait. Go ahead.
One quick-
Or if you want to stay for some more riveting conversation.
Yes.
One quick thing, we do know that we are talking about budget figures tonight, just so everybody knows that the chains and the awards are not solid gold and solid silver. They're plated.
I want
They're
that.
plated.
Don't cheap out. They're gold and silver. Okay? And the gems are real too.
Congrats, thank you all, yeah.
Thank you.
So what a pleasure to have a Board of Education that starts off its meetings with the reason why we're all here. So thank you for taking time.
It's just us now.
You think everybody is leaving because of the topics that we're going over? Yeah, something I said. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you, Mr. Baker. Thank you, Mr. Becker. We do have a long.
It's fun. We didn't even go through the agenda yet. Can I have a motion to approve the agendas? Second. All in favor? I don't think we have anybody signed up. Carmen, has anyone signed up for audience comments? Somebody's with us. Okay. Oh, that's great. About the virtual. All right, so the consent agenda this evening, I have something to pull. Does anybody have anything to pull from the consent agenda?
I do.
Okay, so, general,
Fiscal 5.4.
okay, and I'm gonna pull general 5.2. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda less 5.2 and 5.4.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Minus 5.1 and 5.2.
No, 5.2.
5.2 and 4. Second.
All in favor? All right, go ahead, Ben, you go first.
Just pulling fiscal 5.4 specifically on the resolution for the capital or for the pilot agreement with Indian Point Energy Center. That conflict of interest that have been put there.
All right, okay, so Jen is going to be abstaining from voting on fiscal 5.4. Can I have a motion to approve 5.4?
Motion to approve 5.4.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Right, I pulled general 5.2, it's a building use form because I am personally requesting building use for the youth lacrosse program that I participate in running. So I just I want to abstain from voting on the building use form. Oh, if someone could make a motion to approve.
Motion 5.2, 5.2 general.
Second, Jen, all in favor? Right. Now, our next section, I believe, is donations. And so the first donation is $245 for the Barbara Katzenstein Foundation. Sorry, I don't have it. Scholarship Fund. The Office of Special Education has received a donation in the amount of $245 to be utilized to pay for partial summer camp funding for students with significant handicapping conditions. And the second donation is $2,451.80 for the high school's unified sports tennis and pickleball program. Okay, so this is the Hendrick Hudson Community Education Foundation making a donation of $2,451.80 to the Hendrick Hudson High School for unified tennis and pickleball. Can I have a motion to approve the donations?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, anybody walk in to do the audience comments on agenda items? No? That takes us to our superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Bernard. If you visited our website today, you probably saw some changes, and we hope that you are enjoying those. We're thrilled to announce the launch of our new website. Designed with you in mind, this new Hendrick Hudson School website is scheduled to launch today. It's the result of Pillar 3 of our strategic plan, clear and targeted communications. Our website serves as a hub for all things related to our school district, offering our community a wealth of resources and information at their fingertips. So whether you're a parent, student, educator, or community member, we invite you to explore the many features and functionalities. And I want to express my extreme gratitude to Denita Joy, our Executive Director for Technology and Innovation, for leading the extensive efforts to unveil this new and exciting tool. So thank you for that. On that redesigned website, you will see that we have a dedicated page to our universal pre-kindergarten registration. We are delighted to share that for this year, for the first time, the district has welcomed all pre-K students to seats in one of two programs. 18 seats are available at Rising Star Children's Center for the third year in a row. And additionally, this year, the district is able to expand our in-district UPK enrollment to all eligible students through a collaboration with the Family YMCA of the Terrytown Y. Rising Star has been hosting one UPK class for the district since we started our program in 22-23, and they support both before and after care programs at the parents' expense. And additionally, for our families that need sibling support, Rising Star cares for children ages 3 months to 3 years, again, at parents' expense. The Family YMCA will, we anticipate being the collaborator who will provide UPK program in district at both Buchanan Verplank Elementary and Furnace Wood Elementary. If there are additional open classrooms, it is possible that we may run a 3-year-old program, depending upon board direction and contract progression, which would be completely at the parents' expense. To participate in either UPK programs, your child must turn 4 before December 1st, 2024. If your child turns 5 at any time before December 1st, 2024, they may not attend UPK. And any student who is age eligible for kindergarten in September cannot attend a federally funded UPK program. To register, please go, you must do so online. Our website has clear instructions on how to register and what documents or forms are needed. And if you need assistance in Spanish, including help with your documents, the Hendrick Hudson Free Library partners with us, and they can be contacted at 914-739-5654 or by visiting the library during the following days or hours. Mondays from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Tuesday from 4:30 to 6 p.m. The library again can assist with document scanning and completing the registration process in Spanish during those days and times. So thank you to the library for their
That
assistance.
information is also online.
Correct. This information, if you've tuned me out, which most people do after about 30 seconds, you can gain that information online. A reminder about kindergarten registration, you may visit our homepage. There's a large blue button on the right-hand side, and the 24-25 kindergarten registration opened January 20th in January. And your child must be 5 years of age by December 1st to register for kindergarten. Look forward to welcoming our youngest sailors. Just a reminder about our transportation deadline. If you are a parent or guardian who plans to have children attend a non-public school, you must notify our transportation department in an official capacity by April 1st, 2024. And that official request form can be found on the website under the department tab by selecting transportation.
Sorry, a couple of questions.
Okay.
Is that every year?
Every year. Every year you have to request it new, even if you are receiving that service this year. And that is a state provided deadline. We do have some follow-up responses to community questions from our last public session. Some statements were mentioned in public, and we're only going to address the questions here. There was a question on why is there a reduction in STEAM teachers from Plan A to Plan B. We are anticipating that science will return to the classroom and STEAM will be continued to be taught by a shared teacher. So we are not reducing STEAM experiences. We are bringing back science into the general classroom while still having a STEAM special teacher provide those connected experiences. There was a question regarding teachers being repurposed for AIS if they needed new training for their roles. AIS teachers are certified elementary teachers. They will be providing additional supports for our students in elementary math or reading, of which they are certified to teach. And if a teacher has a professional learning need, they can always go through our process to request that professional learning to support them. There's questions on teacher who's travel. How does that work? So every year we have teachers who travel between buildings, and this is a common practice in a district with multiple buildings. So we support them by adhering to certain contract provisions that they are provided when they do travel, and it is logistics when the principals meet to coordinate those schedules. There is a question about an ICT class for one classified student, and at this time, the district does not anticipate running only one student in an ICT class. There was a question between, have we discussed any items regarding an increase to our fund balance? And since finding out about the funding, about the closure of Indian Point, the district has had numerous discussions and has engaged in actions to address fund balance, both in terms of ensuring there's enough to use to reduce tax increases and in terms of hoping to utilize appropriate reserves. There are no other questions at this time, and it's time now for my children, who I'm sure are watching, to remind them to go to bed. Oh, my report.
Yeah. It's for the sure if I heard correctly. You said you're not running an ICT class for the one student?
We don't anticipate running it for only one student. We anticipate there are more than one student.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Margaret, thanks for all your efforts on it. Did a lot of extra work this year to ensure that it's available for all boards. And we appreciate it.
Please register. It's not as scary as it looks.
Do we know how many students are gonna be in that ICT?
I didn't hear what you said.
Do we know
Number
what
of students
the
in
number of
that
students that will be in that ICT?
Right now, it's number of classified students.
Yeah,
Well, if it's an ICT. Yeah, I can tell the number. Yeah, right now there's 2 slated for the class, but we're making some adjustments on different ways to utilize teachers to our best, to benefit all students. Okay. Any questions on superintendent?
Thank you. All right, we're at our presentations discussion. So the first item is our final budget review.
So, members of the board, it's been since December that we've been having these conversations in earnest about our development process. I want to thank you for your thoughtful questions, your inquisitive approach to ensuring that there is transparency to this, and for your participation in helping provide the administration with parameters to help build a budget to present with you tonight. And so tonight, we begin our presentation by reminding ourselves about our mission.
I don't mind. I'm sure Jeremy.
We also want to review our budget development process. So we have been developing the budget since before December, but in earnest in December. And it has been what's known as the superintendent's budget. Tonight, 27th, according to our budget calendar, we are going to ask the board to adopt a total spending plan and the amount of approximately $93 million. And again, we have shared those line items with you in this process to ensure that there is transparency on what we anticipate utilizing the total proposed spending amount. But again, the board is adopting that total funding amount. From now until, should the board choose to adopt until the 20th, this proposed budget will be shared with our community, and we will do every effort to communicate with our partners in the community what we anticipate using that spending amount for, to give them confidence in choosing to cast their ballot in the way that they so choose on the 21st, when we ask the community to vote on the proposed budget. And again, the community is voting on that $93 million as a total proposed spending amount, not the particular line items. We do again share those line items to show you what we think from an administrative standpoint we need to best run the school district for our students. When we talk about the proposed budget, we are presenting you with a budget that does not exceed the New York State property tax cap. We are offering universal pre-K for all students in a tax neutral manner. We are looking to expand supports for special education students. We're looking to expand athletic offerings, and we are also looking to provide improved human resources oversight that we do feel is needed at this time, and we preserve as much as possible program and opportunities for our students. In terms of the tax implications for our community, because we do know that we must balance providing the best possible program for our students while also being fiscally responsible and mindful of our community. We do have a 4.12 levy to levy proposed increase in this budget. If you're looking for the specific tax impact on your household, we ask that we have on our website, if you go under the budget, there is a link called Tax Calculator. You can go there, and if you have a copy of your most recent taxes, you can type in your assessed value of your house, and you can identify what you can anticipate that to be the impact on your household. So we want to be clear if you have questions of what this proposed budget and levy increase will be, you can see that specifically there. This is our tax. The next slide is our tax cap mandated reporting. You can see here are the proposed budget in terms of dollars, the proposed levy we are assessing on the taxpayers, and you can see what our tax cap is. And then if we have to go to a contingent budget, the amount that we would be required to cut from our current proposed budget that we were asking the board to adopt tonight, what we would need to reduce to make to meet those contingent measures. Our financial projections as of 3/18 are shared for you and for the public, as we have been since January. And then finally, on our next slide, just a reminder about the budget vote and how you can register to vote on May 21st. Should we need a revote, should our first budget be voted down by the community, the mandated revote is on June 18th, so the third Tuesday in June. Yes, voting will occur at Frank G. Lindsay. That's a good. We will now start to advertise that. So if the board does adopt the budget this evening, a couple things will occur. We will update our website with information that's contained in the budget book. Mr. Catalan and the business office have been working feverishly. Staff has been working both early in the morning. They've even beat me into the office and stayed late at night to start working on the budget book. Anita beat me in today too, by the way. It's not a contest though. And we will be providing that budget book in each of our main offices of our school district. We will provide it at the district office, at the public library, and Enrique, what else am I missing? Where else will it be? It will be online too. So that will contain a line-by-line budget review. It will contain comparative data information. It will contain spending by category in terms of administrative capital and program, and all of the required forms that the public could view to help make them a informed decision when they choose to vote. It will include school report cards, everything that the board received in their budget book, except updated to current numbers and with current and with suggestions that the board included, such as in the line by line, we put the grid lines in there so you can separate it by that.
Will you add or soon plan the dates that you and Enrique will be available to meet with community members? That'd be part of what you post online.
We certainly can do that. We can certainly also provide in our weekly updates as well too.
And put online too. So
Yes,
community members. Of
of course. And are you trying to say nobody reads lab days?
No, I mean
I
like
understand. If you're not receiving them. from
non-students, graduate.
parents. Of course.
You're writing emails.
They should be going to the whole community unless people have said they don't want to hear from anyone. You have that option in Parents Direct. We can certainly find that information out for you. I'm sure Ethan will be able to provide the documentation. If we go to the next slide, our contingent budget rules. Here we have shared this information as well. If the first budget is voted down, again, by the community, the board has a couple different options. They can choose to immediately go to contingent budget. They can choose to submit the same budget up for a vote by the community, or they can choose to put another budget up as a revised budget for a second vote. If at that second vote, the community does not approve that budget, we will go into a contingent budget for the 24-25 school year. With that, we don't have specifics on what would change. We just know we need to cut approximately $2.2 million. And those reductions will have to come across the board from program, from staffing, from extracurriculars for our students, and other expenses to make sure that we do meet that contingent budget. We do anticipate that if we do have to go to contingent budget, we will be communicating what the specifics of those are as we get closer. That is our presentation for board consideration of adopting our proposed budget. Yes.
As of Monday, 3/25, in our finance meeting, we were informed that the current budget does not include the $2 million needed for the bond. Can the administration explain why this happened, and can you explain what will be done in order to do the bond and where those funds will come from?
So the unassigned fund balance that we've been using to discuss a proposed capital project, we will have the opportunity to engage in that capital project should we have enough unassigned fund balance to be able to have the initial payment of the debt service for that. So what we anticipate is, should the community approve the budget and then also approve should the board and the community approve the budget and the bond, we will work to make sure that we have that fund balance in place. If the community approves the budget and the bond, the district has the ability, will not be starting right away with going out to borrow the money. So we do have some time if there is some concern about the fund balance that would be used to that, so that the district could procure that. The district, if the project is approved, the district has up to 10 years to complete the project, and you can borrow at various phases of the project. You don't have to borrow the entire amount all at once. So we could budget in terms of priority for what we're going to borrow and what is needed to pay for that debt service each year, to make sure that it could be done in a manner that is within the current fund balance allotment. The way that bonds normally, or the capital projects normally work is, you have one rolling off. If you want to make it tax neutral, you take the budgeted amount that you had towards that debt service, and you keep that as a placeholder in the budget for new payments as you go through the process. Yes.
When can the board expect to know what will be left at the end of the year in terms of, I know that that's where it is. It's not in next year's budget. It's in this year's budget. It's typical to kind of underspend, and that's where that $2 million will fall. When can the board expect to have that information?
So we expect to have that information in terms of what our fund balance will look like by mid-April.
Was there any drivers to the $2 million? Was there anything that was unexpected that came up or anything that caused any money to go that is why potentially won't be there at the end?
Great question. So this goes back into why you hear me saying over and over again, we vote on an approved of spending amount because things do come up. And that's exactly what occurred here. We had some unanticipated tax certioraries that came up. We also had some expenses within our special education department that were unexpected, and those were priority needs that we had to meet. So we are mindful, and as soon as we see that there is a possibility that we have to tighten our belts in terms of spending this year to preserve that fund balance, we can take certain steps to do that. And which we did.
What things can we put in place to ensure that we have that money? And I guess this far in the year, do you see it being a huge savings that we would get by doing?
So you might not necessarily, so what we can do is we can initiate a spending freeze. We can tell, and we have we will be mentioning to our administrators and their staff over the next couple of days of when we will implement a spending freeze. We will not, which means we will not expend funds except on items such as health and safety items, items that are contractually related, such as payroll, anything to do with special education services or mandated services. So that doesn't necessarily yield you a large savings of fund balance, but it helps you predict more accurately where you could be at the end of the year.
Just to clarify for that too, for everyone at home, if you put a spending freeze in place, if something comes up, you are allowed to override and spend the money.
We will have a process in place where a department head or building principal or administrator can say, this has come up. We need to provide a service for a student that we didn't anticipate, and there will be that ability to go that way.
You know, you weren't here last year, but I just wanted to ask, like, what are we going to do differently going forward as far as the planning for the 2024-25 budget to ensure that what's occurring now isn't happening?
So I think we continue on with our budget process that we started this year. There's always going to be unanticipated expenditures. I think the transparency that the district has engaged in helps people understand things. Sometimes it causes confusion, but it's a hallmark of this administration and this board. So I think being as transparent as possible. It's also going through the process of a budget where you take a look at all aspects of it, from program to staffing to the way we've always done things. We know that the financial constraints that hit the district are directly related to the shutdown of Indian Point. And we have done things for a number of years because we can always count on that money. And we, as our financial projections have shown, we have to tighten our belt around these next couple of years of budget season. And so it's really having conversations with our community, with our board, with our administrative team on how we can balance that, providing a high quality education and a teaching and learning environment with what our financial constraints are, but also the expectations of our community.
My last question is, if we're removing the $2 million from the fund balance, it would change our projections overall every year as we go forward. So what we've been looking at now is going to change as well.
Correct. And as soon as we know any of those changes, Enrique and his team put forth updated projections so that we can continue. I believe it was our external audit that we looked at in the fall of our projections that recommended that we, at every board meeting during this process, particularly the budget development process, provide updated projections, because there are a number of factors that could change that and that best help the board and its fiduciary responsibility to have an understanding of that.
I just wanted to thank everybody, because I have to say, being my second year on the board, I have a better understanding line by line of everything that goes into the budget and all of the work that goes into the budget. So thank you.
This was truly a team effort, not only by our very talented and dedicated cabinet members here, but also by partners such as our architects, our administrative team, at the building level. We asked a lot out of them and they stepped up. We asked them to we asked them to have tough conversations. We've asked our community to have tough conversations. So, when I reflect and we say we're presenting you a community budget, I feel we can truly say it is a budget. So thank you for that.
I wanted to second that as well. I mean, I've been in education for many, many, many years. I've been to many board meetings. I've been to many where they projected it. I actually went back to my job and said, wow, I now know where every like dollar that I am always asking for, where it falls. And I understand like why at times I'm told yes and why at times I'm told no. So thank you for that. Yeah, that is it was very enlightening.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? All
The opportunity for that.
right. Right, can I have a motion to approve the, wait, I think Carmen wants me to read it. Yeah, there we go. E 2024 to 2025. Wait, no, not that. A proposed budget proposition for Hendrick Hudson Central School District. A second, all in favor? All right, we have, the next section is all of our propositions. Right, what's first?
Sure.
So, yeah, I think what we should do for each proposition, hopefully people can can come to this meeting if they have questions and scroll through to this section, and if they want to know what they're voting on, and if we could just pause at each proposition, give a summary or a recap, so folks that are listening and paying attention understand what we're talking about. Let's go one by one so nobody gets confused. So after the budget, the first thing we're going to discuss is the proposition for the end. Yeah, sorry.
I just have a question. When you're reading these, do we already know what they're gonna be called on the ballot? If let's say, once we approve them, do we know what they're called?
I think it's in here, the verbiage, right? So when you scroll
Like
down,
if it's Proposition A,
oh, the number,
like whatever it is, because I just kind of feel like for me,
But
when I get to the
do
day
they
of,
have,
I know you.
letters or numbers?
Summary, but-
They're numbered.
Okay,
So,
just so like people get an
Yeah.
understanding of what was one, what two.
Yeah.
Just like people.
Yeah, and I want to talk about what each, so the first one we're discussing is the, no, I don't know, whatever you want to do. Order on the ballot.
okay.
Order on the ballot, okay.
For the board, just as a reminder and for the community, we're gonna be asking the community to do a lot of work when they come to vote on May 21st. We have 6 items for the community to consider. We have our budget proposition, which the board just adopted, and that will appear first on the ballot. We will have a proposed capital bond proposition, which will appear second on the ballot. Forgive me if I'm wrong here. We next then will have our energy tax stabilization reserve fund proposition, which will appear third on the ballot. We will then ask the community for is it the library? The transportation
Okay.
ban, which is we'll go into more detail, and then we will ask them to approve the library budget, which presented last board meeting. And then the final proposition, which the community will vote on, is our board of trustee election. So there's 6 different items that the board will review, and we request adoption for tonight. And then these propositions will appear on the ballot for voters to consider on the 21st. And voters will have a choice on each one of these, yes or no. It's not where if you choose one, you have to choose that for everyone. It'll be separate propositions. We'll go through those tonight. The first one was the
The
budget.
budget, so we just did the budget. The next one that we should discuss then is the bond. Let's go in order. Let's just give Greg a minute.
There, go back to the other one. What was the first one, Greg, that you just did? Letter. Yeah.
There we go.
Go down.
Nope, that's the vehicle.
They're both, the capitals in.
Oh, it's in there? Okay, sorry about that.
The transportation is in.
So Greg, it's page 4. There you go. Thank you.
Right, we should explain what the bond is.
So the resolution that will appear as a proposition is asking voters to allow the district to enter into a capital project supported by the borrowing of $30 million to support that capital project, and not to exceed $30 million. So you're giving authorization to start to do the project, but also to borrow for the project.
So Proposition 2 on the ballot is for the capital project, the bond. And you can vote yes or all right. And to confirm, you can, we can technically spend anything up to 30 million.
Correct.
If this is approved.
Correct. In good faith, we as a school district would want to stay as close as possible to the proposed projects within that and the proposed spending amount. But as long as you do not exceed, that's authorized.
Should we just read on here what the bond is? Like, do you want to read it again?
So described in a plan prepared by the district with the assistance of KSQ, which is on file and available for public inspection in the office of district clerk, including interior reconstruction and space reconfiguration to provide for enhance and reconfigure classroom, library, STEM, interdisciplinary, cafeteria, music, and other space, exterior building envelope improvements, including partial roof replacements and brick repointing, laboratory and mechanical, electrical, plumbing upgrades, including the addition of air conditioning improvements, replacement of doors and interior gym bleachers, site pavement, walkway, and access way upgrades and improvements, and athletic natural turf improvements. All of the forego to include the original furnishings, equipment, machinery, apparatus, demolition, and ancillary or related site or other work required in the connection therewith, and to expend therefore, including preliminary costs and costs incidental thereto, and of the financing thereof, an amount not to exceed the estimated cost of $30 million. And at all 5 buildings.
I have a question just on, if we were to approve this tonight, and then it goes on to the ballot. If this is voted no by the community, and the budget is a yes. But if the budget's a no, that comes back June 21st. If this is a no, does this come back on June 21st? Or is that just?
There's not a mandatory revote on that. We probably would have to regroup, and if we wanted to engage in an additional or in a revised capital bond, we could at any time put up a similar, the same, something similar or something less. I think what that would need is conversations with our community, perhaps on what they didn't feel was necessary to do in that project and what they would like to see.
Okay, but that would not then be most likely immediate, that would be over time. We'd have to discuss and meet with KSU.
I would recommend we engage more conversations about what the community would feel favorably voting for. Yes, we enlist our architects, definitely want to hear from the community members, and we want to know what the board's thoughts were.
And if this is approved, this would not have work commenced before the summer of 2025.
Spring of 2026.
Yeah, the fastest track we anticipate, because once if the community approves this, we have to go through a number of different steps. We have to have the plans approved by state ed. We have to.
Summer 25. Yeah, summer 25, right? It's like a 12-month.
Summer 25 would be the first time.
Yeah.
And that's in an expedited manner. Because we have to issue the bond notes. We have to borrow the debt basically. We have to get approved by state ed. We have to go out to bid for the work. We have to receive those bids. We have to review those bids. So that is if everybody moves at fast pace.
So if it would take longer
Or roof repairs and things like that.
But if we did need a roof repair, say.
Emergency.
An emergency, it would come out of the general fund,
In
and we
between-
wouldn't get reimbursed for it.
Correct. You're gonna get that stated.
Which is 40.
Rika, what's our?
32.
32 today.
I think it's important that B as well, is that, levy and collect installments in format and structure what the board determines later. So you don't do it all, you don't have to do it all at once. You can do it on priority and need based at that time.
Question? I just want to also, I think it's important to say that our building conditions, the building conditions came out with $98 million worth of necessary upgrades. And they're prioritized, and that the facilities team worked tirelessly, and I'm not part of it, so I'm thanking you guys to put together the main priorities that are the necessities, as well as the work with, we work with the principals and the staff to come up with what's going to help our kids learn.
So this represents less than a third of the actual work.
Yes, I think it's important
And I
to.
think Anthony Merlini projected something along the lines of what every dollar you don't spend in preventative maintenance can cost you. Forget if he said four times that amount, if you neglect it and wait, it just doesn't deteriorate. So, it could be a very expensive avoidance of expense.
Before we move on, I do want to thank, again, our partners who helped prepare this. We do have our partners from KSQ Architecture here, just in case there are any questions, and making sure that we have all the information we need to forward feel informed that they can vote as much information as possible.
So are we accepting each of these individually?
Yeah, we are. So I need a motion to approve the $30 million capital project.
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
So that'll appear as ballot proposition number 2. Ballot proposition number 3, Carmen, would be the stabilization reserve, correct?
I wrote down, I said it. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the tax stabilization reserve fund. Again, that's gonna be number 3 on your ballot.
Sure. So for context, this can be, I want our board to understand, and any voter who shows up on the 21st to understand the context behind this. As you saw in our projections, and as you've heard over our budget development process, we have added to our unassigned general fund over the years since knowing of the closure of Indian Point. We've added funds to that in anticipation of when we would lose the money coming into the pilot. The district knew that the community might be faced with large tax increases when that went away to continue to provide for the education of our students. The district, in order to not let that be a major impact on the district and the taxpayers, has put aside in unassigned fund balance money to soften that impact. In our projections, you can see that is approximately $20 million this year. And what that allows us to do is not, in essence, raise taxes to an extreme amount that would be burdensome on either the district to have to make cuts or to raise taxes on our taxpayers. Now, the state does have regulatory language that says school districts are not allowed to keep more than 4% of their total budget in unassigned fund balance. So to allow us to ensure that we do not impact our taxpayers or our students, with that, we can establish a fund that's voted upon by the public, where we can, a reserve fund where we can put that money and then draw down on that and not have it in our unassigned fund balance. So this proposition is asking the community to allow us to create a reserve fund of $20 million. I want to be clear that we are not taxing $20 million more. we are taking we can put in up to $20 million throughout this process to allow us to draw down on that and not increase taxes or have to cut our budget by an amount needed to meet our tax cap compliance. So again, this is not asking whereas the bond is asking the voters to approve a project where we can borrow $30 million over a period of time. This is asking for us to establish a reserve fund with existing monies that we have.
So really simple words, new bucket, same money.
New bucket, same money.
Taking it out of your wallet, putting it
It sounds like a teacher.
From one bank, one
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
account to another.
And this can only be used to reduce taxes. Correct. Once it goes into that.
Correct.
Again, this is for the third proposition on the ballot. Does anyone have any other questions? Can I have a motion to approve the proposition for the Energy System Tax Stabilization Reserve Fund? Tamika, second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And the next is transportation. So number 4 on the, thank you. Number 4 on the ballot will be for our bus bond proposition.
So this is a regular proposition on our school district budget. The district for a number of years has had this proposition to fund the maintenance and replacement of our bus fleet. So this has been talking to our transportation department. This has been a proposition that has been in place since the 70s to ensure that our buses are safe and that we are transporting our students in the safest way possible. But we do have to ask the public if they continue to approve of us spending that money in those funds back in.
And the newer buses cost less to operate.
Yes, because there's less maintenance associated with it in general, and
So it's fiscal responsibility as well as safety for kids.
correct. Well, you want to talk about that after but yes, there is a state mandate that by 2033, all fleets must be transitioned to electric buses. And starting in 2027, any new purchases, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2027, all new purchase buses must be petroleum. Is that the? No?
They have to be electric because it says diesel or gas, and that's the only way that they are powered.
2027, you have to purchase non-gas or diesel buses, and by 2033, all fleets must be transitioned as well.
So that's number 4 on the ballot. That's the bus bond proposition. Can I have a motion to approve the bus bond? Can I have a second? All in favor? Great. Moving on to number 5 on the ballot is the Hendrick Hudson Free Library. And there's
So the school district and the library are separate, but they do appear on our ballot. They presented last week at our last board meeting, which is available online if you want to see their line by line review. And the board is asked to adopt this approve this proposition for appearance on the ballot for the voters.
any questions? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the
motion.
Oh, okay. The 24-25 Hendrick Hudson Free Library proposed budget proposition. Amelia first, Rebecca second. All in favor? Okay, so that's 1 through 5. And then our 6th, which we don't have to vote on or talk about, is the Board of Ed trustees, which you will find on the 6th section of our ballot. There will be 2 board seats that are up for nomination or voting.
We do have information on our district clerk page if you are running for election. If you're running for the board, we do have information on our district clerk page, and you can always reach out to Carmen for assistance on it.
That's everything. You got through it all. Oh my God.
So I do want to thank our district clerk for helping preparing those propositions. Carmen worked diligently with also members of our cabinet to help prepare those propositions in accordance with the legal parameters.
Thank you, Carmen. Thanks, Carmen.
Thank you.
Always. Okay, so that is the end of our presentation section. We're moving on to our policy readings. We do have a lot. I'm going to turn it over to Erica to run the show on our policy readings, beginning with policy 0100, non-discrimination and equal opportunity. Oh, Jeremy, do you want to read it?
Policy non-discrimination and equal opportunity 100. This is a required policy. The Board of Education, its officers and employees will not discriminate in its programs and activities on the basis.
Policy 01.
That's it. All in favor?
Do we now have any questions about this one? Okay, the next one is,
You want us to vote on them individually?
yeah,
Individually?
okay.
I can make a motion to approve, policy 0100.
9 pages.
Second. All in favor? All right, moving on, policy 0110.2. Sexual harassment in the workplace.
This is a required policy. Purpose and goals. The Hendrick Hudson Central School District, the district is committed to maintaining a
I'll make a
workplace.
motion to waive readings to policy 0110.2.
Second. All in favor? Does anyone have any questions or comments on this policy? If not, I'd like to make a motion to approve policy 0110.2 for sexual harassment in the workplace. Second. All in favor?
Okay, the next one is 0 sexual harassment. This is the second reading of sexual harassment of employees exhibit 0110.2E. This is a complaint form for reporting sexual harassment. New York State labor law requires all employers to adopt a sexual harassment prevention policy that includes a complaint form. To waive the reading.
All in favor? Okay. Are there any questions on this policy? I have a motion to approve, policy 0111.
0.2E.
Wait,
0110.2-E. This is an exhibit that supports the other policy.
I'll make a motion.
second.
All in favor?
I think it was weird because we voted on that. Yeah.
We didn't have to do that, but you could.
Yeah. No, but it's okay. All right, so the next one is 0115, student harassment and bullying prevention and intervention. Is that right?
Yes, this one has a harassment complaint form attached to it, as well as the student harassment and bullying prevention and intervention regulation attached to it. So there's an exhibit attached to this and a resolution, right?
No, that's for the.
Yes.
Has it, here's 115.
0115.
0111.
0115.
Yeah, that's right, 0111. I think
We have,
we went out of order, but it's fine.
Okay, no, I can go back to title, okay. 0111, Title IX. Sexual harassment,
Title IX sexual harassment, second reading.
required policy under Title IX, second reading. Under Title IX, sexual harassment means conduct on the basis of sex.
make a motion to waive the reading.
Second. All in favor?
Anyone have any questions?
I have a motion to approve policy 0111.
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
This is 011. She did the E, she did one of the, this one, it's not on your list, it's E, it's the exhibit that goes along with the workplace, because we have to have, the requirement in New York State is requiring us to have the policy, but then there's attachments to the policy. So you have, the sexual harassment policy, you have to have a form attached to it for people to have access to.
Okay.
And that's that. It's not on your list, but it's,
The form is not the policy. The policy is creating a framework for which the form exists.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is
0115, student harassment and bullying prevention and intervention. I won't read them just to keep it easy, but there is an exhibit attached to this for a complaint form, and there is regulations assigned to this to follow. Policy 0115, student harassment and bullying and prevention and intervention. This is a required policy. This is a second reading. The Board of Education is committed to providing an educational and working environment
Motion to waive policy 0. Motion to waive the reading of policy 0115.
second.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions on this policy? I'd like to make a motion to approve the policy 0115, student harassment and bullying prevention and
Second.
intervention. All in favor? Now we're moving into a first reading to retire.
Yes, I have to read it. Start to read it. Okay, so we are retiring title, policy 110.1, sexual harassment of students. Board of Education recognizes that harassment of students.
Make a motion to retire policy 0110.
We have to read it.
Motion to waive the reading.
Second. All in favor?
Motion to retire policy 0110.1, sexual harassment of students, and policy 0120, Dignity for All Students Act. And then Vice President Mills made a motion to retire policies 0110.1, sexual harassment of students, and 0120, Dignity for All Students Act.
Okay.
And 0120, Dignity for All Students Act.
Okay, so I'll second your motion. All in favor?
We're formally retiring both.
Right,
Formally
because we're
retiring
replacing them.
Yeah, but just to reiterate, remember last time, we didn't retire it then because we didn't have another one in place. So now that we have these others in place officially, we can officially retire.
Yes.
We need to make a motion to waive the reading of the Dignity for All Students Act. We didn't do that officially. We're gonna have to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Make a motion so because we didn't waive the second reading of retiring the policy.
We want to do that too?
Yes.
We have to do that twice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Make a motion to waive the second reading. I'll make a motion to waive the second reading of the 0120 Dignity for All Act and 010. Sorry, I was trying to go based off memory there. And 0110.1 sexual harassment of students.
second. All in favor? Okay, I'm in a second. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Another break.
You go back home and watch it?
That sounds fun.
Okay, now we have policy 0150, HIV/AIDS.
Yes.
Second reading.
The second reading.
Okay.
The Board of Education recognizes the public concern over the health issues surrounding human immunodeficiency virus, HIV.
I'll make a motion to waive the reading. Second. All in favor? Does anybody have any questions on this policy? All right, can I have a motion? I'll make a motion, right? I can, to approve policy 0150, HIV/AIDS. All in favor?
How do we do this? We're gonna have to waive The reading of both
No, this was the second reading.
for the next part,
Yes.
waive the
Yes,
reading,
yes, yes.
and then,
Wait a second.
then waive the second.
There's two of them.
Yeah, for each one.
With the reading. And we are retiring policy 5100, student attendance, students HIV related illness. The Board of Education recognizes the public concern over
Motion to waive the reading for policy 5191.
And motion to retire policy 5191, students with HIV related illnesses, and 9110.4, employees with HIV illnesses.
Second. Wait, hang on.
Yeah, I motion.
First, we are motioning to waive the reading.
Yeah, I'm waiving the reading.
So we need a second for that. All in favor? Now we don't have to read it.
I'm gonna read let me read the second, I'm gonna read the second one.
Okay.
The other policy is 9100, work environment, employees with HIV related illness, code policy 9110.4. The Board of Education recognizes
Motion
the
to
public.
waive the reading of 9110.4 employees with HIV related illness.
All in favor? Okay, so we waive the readings. Now we're gonna do this. Read the second.
Motion to retire the policy
Perfect.
9110.4
And.
and 5191.
Second that.
Wait, hold on a second. Then between.
Do we need to waive the second reading first? Before we retire?
Waive the reading of the policy. Now we need to waive the second reading of the retiring of the policy.
Do we need to do that
Then you can vote to retire the policy, then retire.
Okay, we waived the reading.
Right.
The question is, do we need to waive a second reading before we retire?
Can you get the directions?
Yeah.
Erica has it on that page.
We're here.
On the back page, she said.
On Erica.
No, it's here. It's here. Right?
Suspend.
Oh, yeah. So you can make a motion to suspend.
Then
I make a motion to suspend the second reading of
There you go.
retire policy number 591, students with HIV related illness.
And
And
9.
91.
I can do both at the same time. And 9110.4 employees with HIV related illness.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
We're getting there.
And now,
Yeah, I should
I
have.
make a motion to retire policy 5191, students with HIV related illness, and 9110.4, employees with HIV related illness.
second,
All in favor? Are you okay?
You guys need to say,
Suspend the second reading and retire.
right, that you're voting on it, not doing the second reading. She did.
we did,
Yeah.
and then
reading?
yes, I did the second reading.
Yeah, we know, we waived the second reading.
I did the second
Amelia?
reading, and then she
And
did the retiring. So I waived the second reading, Jeremy seconded me, I believe. Or Jen?
Second.
Yeah, Jen second.
Jen seconded me,
You said second reading, I decided
Yes.
you say second reading. Okay.
and then
Stephanie retired.
Stephanie just retired, I seconded her, and then we all raised our hand to agree.
Want to do it again?
Let's do it again.
Right, now we have a second reading of policy 0300 accountability.
The Board of Education acknowledges, this is the second reading. The Board of Education acknowledges that it is directly accountable.
I would make a motion to waive the reading of policy 0300 accountability.
Second.
All in favor? And we did that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on this policy? 0300 accountability. Okay, can I have a motion to approve policy 0300? Have a second?
Second,
All in favor? All right. Oh my God, we're at the last one. The second reading of policy 0320, evaluation of superintendent. This is a second.
Second reading, the Board of Education recognizes that students
Motion to
were.
waive the reading of policy 0320, evaluation of superintendent.
second,
All in favor? Okay, does anybody have any questions?
I have a correct change.
Okay,
We're moving towards more inclusive language in all of our policy, and this one still references his or her. So we are going to change it. My suggestion is that we change the second line to
the superintendent cannot function effectively without periodic feedback regarding performance. So about his or her comes out and is replaced with the word regarding. I would like to make a motion to adopt the changes.
Second.
To adopt this.
You're adopting the policy with change.
Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Excellent.
Well, good work, guys.
Yes.
We're gonna be experts at this.
Yes. All right, that's it for policy. Committee reports. Any committee reports, anything new? Share? No, we're all good. Okay, board comments, no business. Oh, sorry.
See if there's something to say, please.
So there is a couple of things for safety. One, it sounds like the hope of the cell phone tower going to the VA may not happen as the talk about the cell phone tower being placed at the VA property may not happen as expeditiously as once intended. It has nothing to do with the district. It has everything to do with the county and the federal government. So they're trying to figure out the details on how, when, or if that will continue. There's no change in the tower that is supposed to go out in Cortland Manor near the middle school. That is still something that the town of Cortland is working on to have implemented. There was a discussion that began about student badges and if it's something that would be encouraged for students to wear and how they would utilize them throughout the buildings, whether it be a barcode or RFID, or just for visibility purposes. There's a bunch of logistics tied to this, including what to do if students don't remember to bring them in and what kind of implication that will have on them and the staff that would need to find a substitute badge for the day, a placement badge.
And I believe you said this is all very initial discussion and it's gonna go to the site-based teams and all of those, correct?
Oh, so there was also a conversation about how we can begin utilizing the Raptor system so that when people come to the building for after-school activities, they would still be able to be checked in using their government issued ID the same way that we check people into the buildings during school hours.
Could I interject?
Would you like to elaborate on that, please?
So we want our buildings to be as open and accessible as possible while still ensuring the safety. So we ask that any visitor to the building at any time they come, they please bring a government issued ID with them so that we can scan it through our Raptor system. And then you'll be registered within our system. That does a couple of things. It lets us know who is in the building should there be an emergency. It also runs it against several databases to give us information about the safety of our students. And once you come in for the first time, it will have you in the system, and all you need to do is just provide your name or your ID again, and it will just pop up with and you can print off a badge for you. So please, anytime you do visit buildings, please bring some form of government issued ID so we can process you in. We did ask our site-based teams. We asked the members of the safety committee to go back to their site-based teams to discuss how we might be able to best utilize that system and not cause a log jam when you're trying to get into some of our celebratory events or events that parents are anxious to get to. So we are exploring that with our stakeholders.
And registration is district-wide, so if you are registered at a building, that puts you into the system for all buildings. So it will not be a re-registration for each of the individual buildings you may attend.
What do you mean? You have to bring your ID anyway and get the badge.
But it's, when you're in, then it's a scan and a confirmation of existing information versus having to take the time to re-enter it completely. So it's much faster to re-enter than the first
But does
time.
it recheck the personnel?
Oh, yes.
Yes, but someone's scanning it and it's just, you're in the system already. When you come in for the first time, they have to actually, I think there's a bit more to create a profile.
I think you have to input the thing, it scans it, and then it runs the database then. Once you're already in, like your database kind of is there, yeah.
So it's faster on the recurrence of visits as it is the initial visit.
Thanks. Any board comments from the business?
I attended on March 19th, Westchester Putnam School Boards Association's webinar on the public process of developing curriculum. And they highlighted 3 districts, and it was refreshing to see that we're doing some of the same things here. The Rise City School District highlighted the revamping of their literacy program with the science of reading to address and identify gaps in phonics and their high referral rates to AIS and CSE and their underperformance on state assessments. And it brought me back to our teachers piloting the programs. Pleasantville School District talked about the integration of AI. I thought about Benita and all the work that she's been doing, so I know we're on top of that. And Croton Harmon, very close to us, talked about addressing health curriculum concerns. But what my real key takeaway from that was what all the work we're doing with the strategic plan and our groups are. So the one thing that they did say that I really took away that I wrote down is when committee members sign up to join groups, that you should understand their motivations behind their desire to join a committee because it's significant. So, but we're doing a lot of what these districts are doing.
Thanks for doing that. Awesome. Any other board comments to business?
So there is a webinar
I saw that
coming up for WESPA
civic engagement.
which I know we've talked about a lot here, and specifically curriculum, and that's in April 15th.
That was a topic when we did the budget presentation to the seniors.
It is April.
They were very, that's one of the points that was discussed that preceded their breaking out into the national.
Yeah.
Specific engagement discussion that has to be what the important is.
Yeah, it looks really interesting.
It does.
And it's great.
Free is free.
Okay. If there's nothing else, it is 8:40.
Well, we can close.
You gotta go to that.
Oh.
That's okay.
Okay, the board did not, yeah, it's not really. The board did not, what?
That's so sad.
The board did not complete the executive session prior to our 7 p.m. start, because we didn't want to keep the public waiting. So we are going to enter back into executive session for the same purpose as I had read off earlier. The collective negotiations under the Taylor law. I don't think I need to read that. So we need a motion to move back to executive. Motion to move back to executive.
Second.
All in favor?